Hi there guys, it's Bushcraft Baking here. In this video I'll be showing you how to make a little wood stove, and I will also be making a meal on said wood stove. Now I will be using the leftovers from the previous video to be able to make this meal. And I'm going to try to experiment with what I got seasoning wise and see what I can come up with. Hopefully I make a good little meal out of the quarter pound of beef I have and a few pieces of bacon I got left from breakfast this morning. I didn't cook up yet. I'm also going to be making a cutting board as well to be able to cut this bacon up into pieces. I'm looking at making some kind of burger and bacon kind of meal. I think I might call it a cowboy burger. We'll find out what that looks like once I'm done with it. I will also be showing you guys everything that you'll be needing to be able to make the stove. The stove should be able to be used with both alcohol stoves and other kind of burners. That meat is still frozen because I did throw it in the freezer last night after I recorded that video, and I wasn't anticipating on coming out here and recording this one, but I had an idea. This right here is for a future project. These are the two components we will be needing to be able to make this stove. And these are the three specific tools that we will be needing to be able to make this stove as well. First thing we're going to be doing is taking off this labeling on here. Okay, there is one specific tool that I forgot to grab. And I just went up to the house and grabbed it. This is what's known as a church key. I completely forgot to grab this guy. And generally, I carry this in my one EDC survival kit. And I completely forgot to grab this out of there because I'm not used to taking stuff out of it. Avoid this seam at all costs. First tool we're going to be using is this little church key. Use this church key to pop through in a hole right here. Go over just a little bit more. Pop through another hole. And also another hole. We are going to make the doorway, which is going to be directly across from these holes. So it's going to be right about in this area here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be marking out with my Sharpie we're going to cut this out after I poke a hole in there with a nail. If I need to, I can always make this a little bit bigger. This is not going to be the prettiest looking thing, but that is completely fine by me. I do want to be careful and cautious of all the jagged edges on this. Get all the sharp edges off, or even a piece of sandstone will work just fine for this. Or if you have a file, that works even better. I want to give myself a little bit of extra versus less. So this little piece of chicken wire is going to be used for one part of this here in a little bit. So you'll see once we get to that point. I'm going to be marking on here about 8 little sections. Okay, so we got everything marked out here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to cut where all these lines are. Now I want to cut them down here to this first line. And bend some of these down like that. What the stove looks like. Chicken wire we are going to be trimming it to be able to fit down into this right here. What's going to happen is this little grill here is going to be going on here a certain way. Okay, so as you can see how it fits in here, I'll just bend all four of these down. Now I'm also going to bend these guys in here just a little bit as well to kind of help hold our little grill in place. Our frying pan is going to go on the top here. So I'm going to do an actual burn-in on this first before we start cooking. So I want to burn most of the plastic and stuff like that off. So let's get right to it. Like I said, it's just the first little burn-in here of the stove, just to kind of get it going. And I got this idea from another YouTube channel called Waypoint Survival. Now, this thing is pretty fuel efficient for running off of nothing but twigs. Now, say that your fire kind of goes out in here. One thing you can do is come around to the back of it and blow in those three holes we created, those three little air holes. It's not the same one that he made in his video, but it is similar. I put my own twist on it. Now you could even use this as a little charcoal stove too. So while I am letting that stove cool down, what I will do is I will go and get some firewood, and I will also get a piece of wood to make a little cutting board. So this right here is that tree we used in the first video, and we will be utilizing this to make another wooden tool and also get some firewood. So this is our cutting board piece right here. Now it's time for me to start gathering some of this wood up. We probably have way more than enough that we need here. It's too much of a pain to be able to film and bring all that wood back over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go off camera and get the rest of it. Okay, this stove here is cooled off enough for me to actually handle it. Now I'm going to dump this out, and then I'm going to start working on making this into my cutting board. So this is what the stove looks like now, all cleaned out. All that galvanized stuff's been burned off right here, and right here is where we're going to add two more holes at. And just like that, added more ventilation. So this should work a lot better. About there, about here. What I have here is my original wooden mallet that I made. So I got this guy right here. Simply just going to put it right down in here. I got my wooden mallet. So this piece right here is going to be our cutting board. Because I'm going to trace a handle out on here. It's not going to be a very big cutting board. Right here. This right here for the handle. So this right here is our rudimentary handle layout here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my saw to cut into here, and to cut into here, and then I'm going to use either my hatchet or my knife to get rid of these two sections. We have the rough cutout here. I'm going to be flattening out this side and also this side. I'm also going to be rounding off the handle too, This is our cutting board right now. Now there's one other thing I want to do to this guy before I start using it. That is to drill a hole right here in the handle. So that's how I actually drill my holes. I use this little knife on my Leatherman here. Okay, so I got my hole drilled through on both sides here. Now on this side it looks pretty good, but on this side kind of messed up a little bit to where, as you can see, there's this little groove here that's not supposed to be there. But after sitting here thinking about it, I was like, you know what, that's actually not a bad idea to do that, to actually make a groove in this area for my rope. Okay, so here is the two grooves I just made. So this is where the paracord is going to rest at. Okay, all of my equipment has been failing. Here's a little update though, starting to kind of brown a little bit. This stuff is actually starting to brown pretty well. It's not the biggest frying pan for a meal like this. I needed something a little bit bigger, but this is the biggest frying pan I got. But it is doing a pretty good job. There's one additional ingredient I'll be adding. Hopefully it's going to taste good. I don't know though. I did dump about a quarter of this in there. If I have to, I will add some more. Kind of looks like a sloppy Joe, but it's not going to taste like one though. This is definitely the most unique meal I think I've actually ever tried out here. Now I'm just kind of coming up with this as I go. It's kind of like a hobo meal, essentially. Just using what I got. I'm cooking this all on a hobo stove. I was planning on making this for lunch, but right now I'm making it for dinner. So these hobo stoves are kind of finicky. You have to kind of work with them a little bit. They're probably some of the most fuel efficient stoves. First of all, you can make these stoves yourself, so you don't really have to worry too much about spending a lot of money. Well, I know you probably have yourself a stove that's going to last you a little bit. It doesn't take very much to actually operate these stoves neither. So I legitimately have no clue how well this is going to taste, or if this is even going to be a good meal at all. Actually, it's smelling all right, I'm not going to lie. Okay, I'm going to take just a little bit out here and give it a taste to see what it tastes like. See if it needs anything. Okay, it's actually kind of interesting, but it's not that bad. Now I am going to add some more of this sweet and smoky rub to it. I think I'm also going to add a little bit more sugar to it as well. Oh, that's a lot of sugar. It's alright. It's all going to the same place. Now brown sugar would probably be the better bet for this, but I don't have any brown sugar with me. It's actually smelling pretty good. Now let's kind of go ahead and give it a little taste test here just to see what it kind of tastes like. Now if I can get a little bit on the spatula, there we go. But now I kind of need to add just a little bit more of this into it. You know what, maybe I'll dump the whole thing in. Screw it. So that was one full bottle of Heinz 57 sauce. I'm actually going to hang on to this bottle because I know I can use it for other projects. But I'm just going to mix all this in now. And right now there's 3 deer here up the top of the hill. It's a mama and 2 fawns. Let me show you. Move very slowly. So yeah, as I'm sitting here cooking, I hear movement up to my left. Oh, there goes one right there. I must have caught my scent. Those are both yearlings. And the deer out here are so docile. That is why I love coming out here, and that's why I love doing this stuff. So what I'm actually going to try to do is go walk up to it, see how close I can get to it without spooking it. Oh, and there it goes. I got probably 15 yards away from that deer. Back to our cooking. Yeah, they're so used to seeing me out here, they're not really afraid of me. I am going to continue cooking this for a little bit longer, and then I will get back to you. This is going to be my half a wooden plate. This meal here is almost done. I just did a little taste test. This meal is turning out to be a really good meal. One thing I may add to this is a little bit of salt. So I got my salt right here. A few little pinches of salt is all the more I'm probably going to need for that. To add a little bit of spice to it, I am also going to add just a little pinch of red pepper into it, just to kind of get a little bit of heat in there, just a little bit more. So it should turn out to be a really good meal. Mix all this together here. So this meal right here could probably feed at least 2 people. I'll give her a little taste test. That is, it's kind of weird, like, it's kind of got a molasses undertone. I'm looking at the stove right now. This thing has gotten so hot, this actually started to burn my stump. So I'm probably going to move this stove to a different location. This right here is looking really, really good. It smells pretty good too. But I am going to very carefully move this stove over. Look at that. Look at that. I was going to make a cup of joe, but it's kind of getting late. I need to be up for work in the morning. See, I will not be sitting down on this stump because, as you can see, this stump is smoldering. That's how hot that little stove got. So obviously I'm not going to be sitting there because that's going to be kind of hot. So my original plan was to sit down on this stump and eat. But I'm going to have to find someplace else to sit. Which actually, you know what? I got a chair. Screw this. So screw this here. I got a chair I'm going to be sitting in to eat. Okay, so I just came up with an idea on how to roast these buns just using this stick right here. There we go. Top bun. Nice and charred the way if I want it. Okay, this guy's on fire a little bit. That's okay. Still have quite a bit left in here yet. Using a couple of Cowboy Bugers. I hope you guys enjoyed watching me make this little hobo stove and also cooking a good meal on it, and also making this little cutting board. So at some point in the near future, I am planning on doing other videos kind of like this. And after using this little stove, I actually want to do more cooking on a stove like that, because it's actually kind of fun. And stove like this that can be used with rather an alcohol burner inside of it, and also using it as a little wood stove also adds to it as well. So this is a versatile piece of kit. So I just want to give thanks to Waypoint Survival for giving me the idea to be able to make my own version of his hobo stove. I had opened up this a little more. For my only issue I've noticed is that the ash and the coals tend to gather up down here in these vent holes. So later on I might actually add some vent holes to the nail up around here, up around this midsection here. Now this is made of a piece of maple. It's by far one of the best meals I've made on here yet, and probably one of the best meals I think I've actually ever made and ate out here in the woods. And then toasting the buns on top of that, that just added that little bit of extra flavor. They kind of have that smoky flavor. They have a sweet, spicy, and savory flavor to this. They're weird, but they're super good. Like, I was not expecting that. I just came up with that off the top of my head. And it's kind of like a sloppy joe, just a better version of a sloppy joe. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you around.